Hello once again and welcome to QTV News to present. My name is Jeffrey Siambo. The headlines. The ruling Patriotic Front PF says it will write to the Speaker of the National Assembly to declare Ron constituency seat vacant. President Edgar Lungu has directed Cabinet to present ministerial needs to the Finance Minister. Another news in detail. The ruling Patriotic Front PF says it will write to the Speaker of the National Assembly, Dr. Patrick Matibini, to declare Ron constituency seat vacant following the expulsion of its Member of Parliament, Kishimba Kambwili. The PF Central Committee, chaired by President Edgar Lungu, has resolved to expel the former Information Minister for allegedly exhibiting sabotage acts aimed at destabilizing party structures on the Copper Belt. PF Secretary General Davis Mwila has told a media briefing that Dr. Kambwili, acting together with some former ministers, were plotting to form a breakaway political party. Mr. Mwila states that Mr. Kambwili was given an opportunity to further exculpate himself from the leveled allegations but walked out of the meeting, which was chaired by the President, Edgar Lungu. He has since challenged the Ron Member of Parliament not to challenge the party's decision in the courts of law.
And MMD survived. I have said the party is bigger than individuals. Yes. If they are popular, Mr. Kunda, they will face us in Ron. Yes. They have to face us in Ron, because if we were scared of them being popular, for them being popular, we were not going to expel them. So as we are geared as a party, we will move in. He should not even challenge this matter in court if he's a man enough. Let us face each other in Ron. Yes. I challenge Honorable Kambwili. Yeah. You go and ask him, Mr. Kunda, that this is what the party has said, that we are ready to face him in Ron. Then you will be able to see who is popular between PF and Honorable Kambwili. Yes.
Mr. Mwila further adds that the expulsion of Mr. Kambwili will not have an impact in any way, as he is not a heavyweight on the Copper Belt, stressing that the party is bigger than an individual. And Mr. Mwila says the party has also decided to expel former Copper Belt Minister Mwenya Musenge for allegedly conniving with Mr. Kambwili and other former ministers exhibiting behavior which is likely to destabilize and bring the party's image in disrepute. Mr. Mwila stated that the Central Committee heard that Mr. Musenge was given 110,000 kwacha by Mr. Kambwili to destabilize party structures in Luapula province. Meanwhile, Mr. Mwila has further disclosed that the party has chosen President Edgar Lungu as its preferred candidate for 2021.
When it comes to protecting the interests of the party is bigger than an individual, as far as we are concerned. Let me also announce to the nation that the Central Committee adopted the motion to have President Edgar Lungu as the party's preferred candidate, subject to approval by the 2020 General Conference. So that is a decision which was taken by the Central Committee, that our candidate for the coming 2021 elections will be Mr. Edgar Lungu. Central Committee believes this measure was important in consolidating the party's unity of purpose. And I also want to inform the nation that we are going to inform his Honorable Mr. Speaker on Tuesday, so that we can declare Ron constituency.
Former Information Minister Kishimba Kambwili has cancelled his scheduled press briefing due to security concerns. Mr. Kambwili was scheduled to hold a press briefing in Lusaka this morning to confirm his expulsion from the Patriotic Front and other issues. He says he does not want to put the lives of journalists in danger. President Edgar Lungu has directed Cabinet to ensure that all ministries present their ministerial needs to Finance Minister Felix Mutati. Chief Government Spokesperson Kampamba Mulenga says this is because it will help the Finance Minister include their submissions during the preparations of the 2018 national budget. And Ms. Mulenga has disclosed that she will engage the Ministry of Finance to enhance budgetary allocation towards the recruitment of media personnel in public media houses countrywide. Ms. Mulenga tells Q News that the media is very important as it plays an important role in disseminating information to the general public. She says government lacks media representation in the country's most rural areas. Ms. Mulenga has added that it is in this vein that her ministry wants to enhance budgetary allocation next year towards the recruitment of media personnel. She says her ministry will advocate for a better allocation in the recruitment of media personnel in the country. Ms. Mulenga says Zambians need a broader spectrum of the media so that they are widely informed about government's major developments.
Through Ministry of Finance, we had some positions under ZANIS unfrozen. And this is one of the ways that government is trying to help our media personnel. But of course, we're hopeful that in the next budget, they could give us a bigger allocation in terms of recruitment. I always say and I always repeat that the media is very important. At the end of the day, Ministry of Agriculture, Finance, Tourism, media is very important because we're the ones that disseminate information. So we have been given an opportunity. The President did make announcements in Cabinet that each ministry has to sit down with Ministry of Finance, and one of the components that we will be fighting for, and as Minister in charge, is a better allocation in terms of recruitment for our staff, especially with the public media. We have had instances in various districts where we do not even have the presence of ZANIS. So we are trying as much as possible in the next budget, of course, to be given a larger allocation so that we can have a larger presence of our staff in the various districts. Of course, not just in terms of film, but of course in terms of development. Our people need to know what is going on across the country. And one other question that keeps popping up is that government has borrowed colossal sums of money, and where has the money gone? Most of this money is within the rural areas. As long as we do not have a presence of our media, our people will not know what is going on. So we have embarked on a mission, and we're thankful to Ministry of Finance that they have been giving us an audience from time to time to see how best we can begin to recruit. So we have recruited the first phase, and I hope that you, my colleagues also from the private media, can take opportunity as soon as we do the second phase of the recruitment.
The Young African Leaders Initiative YALI says it has received the expulsion of Ron Member of Parliament Chishimba Kambwili from the ruling Patriotic Front PF party with shock. YALI governance advisor Isaac Mwanza says his organization thrives on strong and democratic practices because internal democracy is cardinal within political parties. Mr. Mwanza has stated that for the country to maintain its status as a beacon of democracy, it ought to be tolerant to people with divergent political views at political party level. Mr. Mwanza states that his organization has received Mr. Kambwili's expulsion with shock and has further advised the PF Central Committee to exercise tolerance towards its members who have political ambitions. Mr. Mwanza has stressed the need for the PF Central Committee to go to a convention for the party structures to be given a fresh mandate as opposed to appointments. He has since appealed to all political parties to allow their members to freely express themselves and act in a manner that is consistent with their democratic rights.
We believe that the court is going to dispense justice, but we are appealing to all the political parties in the country to ensure that we can allow internal democracy to prevail and ensure that members are freely and they can speak and they can act in a manner that is consistent with their democratic rights. So we are saddened with the news of this expulsion, and we hope that it will be the end. First it was the FDD, now it has gone to the PF, and we know that also it will affect the UPND and so many others yet to come. This is not good for democracy, and we believe that our political parties must learn to tolerate those who have divergent views from theirs. We believe
the Road Transport and Safety Agency RATSA has finalized the rollout of the new electronic Zambia Transport Information System eZamtis to the outsourced partners Zambia Postal Services Zampost and Zambia State Insurance Corporation ZISC. RATSA head of public relations Frederick Mubanga says the move is in a bid to improve service delivery in the provision of road tax services, among others. Mr. Mubanga says members of the public are therefore advised to acquire road tax services from the outsourced partners as well as all RATSA stations across the country. He says the rollout of the new system is to accommodate the licensing needs of all motorists as means of decongesting the RATSA stations. Mr. Mwanga adds that the agency is also exploring other avenues for payment of road tax and other services offered by the agency. This is in a statement made available to Q News. Mr. Mwanga says the agency is also earmarked to open up another station at Silverus in Lusaka East as a means of providing motor vehicle examinations. Civil rights activist Brebna Chengala has appealed to the police not to abuse the extra powers that they have been given during the 90-day period of a threatened state of public emergency. Police and other defense and security agencies have been granted powers to stop and search vehicles without a warrant, withdraw travel documents and detain suspects for more than 48 hours with authority of a magistrate. This follows President Lungu's issuance of the Preservation of Public Security Regulations Statutory Instrument Number 55 of 2017. Speaking to Q News in an interview, Mr. Chengala has noted the need for the police to exercise restraint as they carry out their mandate of keeping the nation safe and secure during the 90-day period. Mr. Chengala says the police need to keep in mind that Zambia is still a democratic state and not a police state, thereby the need for police to conduct themselves within the laws. He has since appealed to citizens to remain calm and united and not feel threatened to live normal lives and conduct normal businesses during the 90-day period of the threatened state of public emergency.
My appeal is directed at the police. We have had a challenge with our police force or service, whichever way you want to call it. Even without the proclamation of Article 31, the police conduct towards the citizenry and maintenance of law and order vis-a-vis people's human rights and personal liberties has been very poor. Now they have got extra mandate and powers to do what they want to do. My prayer is that they don't abuse it. And they must take into account that they could be policemen, but the cardinal thing, they are Zambians putting on the policeman's uniform. And they must exercise restraint. They must achieve what Article 31 intends to achieve. They must not abuse anybody in the name of threatened a state of emergency. They must live and obey the law. This article does not at any space give them the right to live above the law and abuse the citizenry.
Muchinga Province Permanent Secretary Bright Nundwe says government will continue supporting the growth of the private sector, arguing that well-functioning businesses are catalysts for development. Mr. Nundwe says it is government's expectation that the private sector will continue to increase investment levels in various endeavors such as shopping malls, hotels, lodges, among other investments. He has reaffirmed government's commitment to continue supporting the private sector by ensuring that there is quality infrastructure that will result in job creation for the youths. Mr. Nundwe says some traditional leaders are ready to provide land to both local and foreign investors. He says the move is to help create more investment attraction areas in different parts of Muchinga Province. Mr. Nundwe added that the government recognizes that availability of land is central to providing an enabling environment for private sector development to take place in this country. Mr. Nundwe says government is keen to exploit investment opportunities in the province in its quest for an industrial economy.
Local investors and the foreign investors, that please don't waste your time scrambling for land in Lusaka Province. We have more than sufficient land in Muchinga Province where you can do any sort of investment. Number one, we don't even have a hotel in Muchinga Province. We don't have powerful lodges in Mchinga province. We want people to come and invest. Like I mentioned, we'll be flexible to make sure that we give you pieces of land. Even our local chiefs there, Senior Chief Nkula, Chief Chikwanda, all these people are flexible to give you huge pieces of land. I want to advise the local investors, including the foreign ones, to come to Mchinga province and invest. We'll be flexible in the manner we give them pieces of land. So that's what is important. So being a new province, we haven't exploited so much in terms of soils. So my appeal to them, let them come on board and invest. The people there are excellent, very accommodative. The atmosphere in terms of politics is excellent. We are very flexible people, and we are people that are always embracive. There's no component of politics or in terms of tribalism in Mchinga province, nothing. Let them come and invest. That's the appeal of the PS for Mchinga province.
Western Province Minister Mwangala Liyomba has observed that growing of cashew nuts will help the people of Western Province emancipate themselves from poverty. Mr. Liyomba says the $55.4 million United States cashew nut project is a gold mine that the people of Western Province can use to emancipate themselves from poverty. The cashew nut project, which was launched in 2015 and being implemented in Western Province, is a $55.4 million United States project that is being funded by the African Development Bank in partnership with the Zambian government. Mr. Liyomba told Q News that the project targets to see 1.2 million seedlings planted this year in the 10 districts in which it is being implemented. He has noted that women and youths will benefit from this project, as the aim is to help uplift the families in the province and support crop diversification. He has since stated that this project will contribute greatly and positively to gross domestic product.
$55.4 million with support from African Development Bank. And in the 10 districts that we are operating in, we are there in 10. Not that we don't want to cover all the 16, but for now we are in 10 because of the terrain, the conditions, weather conditions attached to the growth of cashew. And this year we are targeting 1.2 million seedlings to be planted, and so far we have done the farmers registration, the sensitization of the community to have fields. Of course, the initial according to the program of the project, we are designing that the farmers, at least if they can get 100 seedlings in a hectare. But we are saying whoever has a piece of land, and we are encouraging especially women and youth to plant cashew nut seedlings. Whatever piece of land you have, even when you have 10, we will give you. If your piece of land can only accommodate 5, we'll give you. By the end of the day, we want cashew nut to be one of the commodities which will contribute positively to the GDP, because we can see we are sitting on gold in the soil in Western Province.
Zambia's High Commissioner to South Africa, Emmanuel Mwamba, is expected to lead a high-powered delegation of 20 leading South African companies and business representatives on an outward trade and investment mission. Zambia's High Commissioner to South Africa, Mr. Mwamba, says the visit that has been organized by the Department of Trade and Industry, DTI, South African High Commissioner to Zambia, Sikose Mji, and the Zambia High Commission in South Africa is expected to hold a 2-day consultative networking session and business-to-business meeting. Mr. Mwamba disclosed that the investment and trade mission to Zambia is a culmination of the state visit to South Africa by the President Edgar Lungu late last year, where the two countries agreed to deepen bilateral trade and investment relations. He says the visit by the leading South African companies and business representatives follows Zambia's investor-friendly environment and abundant investment potential that exists in the country. Mr. Mwamba further noted that the investment and trade mission was expected to increase awareness and of investment opportunities that exist in Zambia. And South Africa's Trade and Industry Minister Dr. Rob Davis says the meeting will assist the department with contributing towards South Africa's objectives of regional integration by strengthening economic relations between the two countries. The Zambia National Union of Teachers, ZANUT, has assured its members across the country that it is working tirelessly with government on addressing their grievances. ZANUT General Secretary Newman Wobala says teachers should remain calm and wait for the union to provide them with correct information regarding the issue of salary increment. Mr. Wobala has claimed that negotiations between the teachers' body and the General Technical Committee have finished their assignments and that in a few weeks' time they will conclude. He has since urged all the teachers, especially their members, to patiently wait as there is much anxiety at the moment as some rumors circulating are incorrect, hence the need for teachers to wait for the union to release the correct information.
Technical committees have finished, the joint technical committees have finished their assignments. So one hopes in a few weeks' time we'll conclude. Our members to wait for us when we are done or when we are about to sign, we'll consult. But at the same time, when we are done, we'll be able to come back. So they shouldn't listen to social media or any other person to say, no, they've signed this for. I'm the spokesperson for the labor movement in terms of the teachers union or the ZANUT. So when it will be time, we'll speak, or the president or the team leaders of the teacher union negotiations will say, this is how far we have gone, and it will be public, it will be open, it will be not through social media, it will be a normal kind of announcement.
Pastor Chanda has advised Laz to put his house in order if judicial reforms are to be achieved. He says the way Laz is handling matters in this country is worrying, hence the need for the association to put its house in order. Pastor Chanda has reminded the Law Association of Zambia that the association was established by an Act of Parliament to carry out its work objectively. He says it is the association's responsibility to interpret the laws in the Constitution properly for the sake of public interest than concentrating much on the negatives. Pastor Chanda says the fact that Laz emanated from an Act of Parliament, it has a fundamental core to represent both the government and members of the public.
I want to state that Madam Linda Kasonde should put the Law Association of Zambia, the house of the legal fraternity in this country, which we should expect to be sacred, in order. I call upon the Law Association of Zambia members and executive members to put their house in order and ensure that the legal body becomes relevant to the Zambians. They shouldn't continue to dwell on negative issues. They should provide constructive and objective solution to the legal loopholes that we have in this country.
To end our news, the headlines once again. The ruling Patriotic Front PF says it will write to the Speaker of the National Assembly to declare Ron constituency seat vacant. President Edgar Lungu has directed Cabinet to present ministerial needs to Finance Minister. That's all we had in our news. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.